we're not only fighting climate change, we're putting more money in the pockets of folks who need it through the Canada Carbon Rebate. That's the framework we built with all premiers working together back in 2016.
Do you think you've made that case?
I think we're continuing to make that case. It's understandable that at a time of anxiety, of pressure on costs, of affordability concerns, that some politicians are trying to drum up support for themselves by scaring people and by giving misinformation. It's unfortunate, but we're going to continue telling the truth.
So just to be clear, you don't think you've lost the narrative on this? We had a conversation this week with somebody who's a defender of the carbon tax. He explained it. He talked about it as a dumpster fire in terms of how it's rolled out. You don't think you've lost the narrative on this?
Well, I think what we've actually done in the policy, it is helping Canadians. Now, the fact that Conservative premiers or the Conservative leader of the opposition wants to take away those supports for Canadians, that's something that people need to hear. And that's not something that they're talking about. So we're continuing to talk about the fact that they have no plan to fight climate change and no plan to keep supporting people with affordability.
Of course, it's not just Conservative premiers, though. It's Wab Kinew in Manitoba. It's a fellow Liberal in Andrew Furey in Newfoundland and Labrador. What would it take for them to convince you that this is not the right policy?
Well, they have the opportunity to put forward a pricing frame that makes sure that pollution isn't free at the same level for the rest of the country, but in a way that works for their province if they don't want to have the federal backstop.
So Andrew Furey has said that he wants a meeting with you to talk about this. He wants the premiers to come together with you. Will you have that meeting?
I had a meeting in 2016 with all premiers.
Will you have the meeting now with?
I will continue to talk with premiers, but I will continue to be pressing Andrew and all others on the actual facts that we have a plan to fight climate change that puts more money back in the pockets of Canadians that need it.
We've had two premiers since 2016. What a lunatic. Basically, he's saying, well, it's okay. You don't have to have my carbon tax, but you have to have an identical carbon tax that your province brings in, and then it can be your carbon tax in a way that works for you. But you have to have a carbon tax at exactly the same rate as the federal one, but just it'll be yours in your province, and then that's fine. You can do this in a way that works for you. What in the hell? And then when CBC's The Current host asked him, well, why won't you just meet? Like, why won't you just meet with the premiers? One of whom is a Liberal and another one is NDP. It's not just entirely Conservatives that are saying this. And he said, well, I met with him in 2016. Won't they shut up? 2016? That was 8 years ago. That was when Rachel Notley was the premier. So we've had Jason Kenney, tossed him out. Now we've got Danielle Smith. And he won't meet with us? Nothing's changed? Not an affordability nothing's changed. Okay. Well, it's that kind of out of touch attitude that's going to see him out on his ass October 27th, 2025, as though I haven't started a countdown. Let's go to this last video of the day. And then I've got to get back to what I missed on the Foreign Interference Commission, because my favorite, the Conservative lawyer, was up just as I was coming on air because they were going a little late. I thought I would be able to just, like go from one break into this and then go finish up and then go back out and lunch be damned. But it doesn't look that way. So I just want to make sure that I cut those clips of DeLuca just giving these guys, these security bureaucrats, the business. But let's go into this last clip. Carbon tax protester held a press conference the other day and calls Trudeau out for his hypocrisy because, as you know, Canadians, you get your measly little carbon tax rebate after paying way more for everything else in every aspect. This tax that is cumulative all the way down the supply chain, wherein you can't afford to fill up your car anymore. And you're making decisions between heat or eat. But he's making it rain on all these other countries around the world. So a carbon tax protester rightly points this out.
But the reality of all of this is that everybody in Canada will be affected because the goods that we're buying and purchasing in Quebec and any other province are all going to be affected by this tax hike. We've already seen the impact on the price of food, the price of heating, and all kinds of other items that we need to survive. This is a very bad move. That is why, in my opinion, we see so many people protesting right now. They're doing it in a very legal and respectful way. They're not blocking roads. They're not causing any trouble. We are really good Canadians trying to get a message across. And that is the right thing to do in a democracy. Justin Trudeau is always proud to stand up on a podium and say how he is a great defender of democracy across the world, ready to spend hundreds of millions of dollars in Ukraine and other countries to secure democracy. Why won't he apply those same rules in our country? When 386,000 Canadians signed the largest petition ever in Canada, asking him to resign or to call elections, he brushed it off. In my opinion, that's not democracy. Did not even address the question. I think that we are at a crossroad right now. Canadians are standing up. We're doing it in a peaceful manner. We are using the tools at our disposition, like we're doing right now, expressing ourselves, expressing our concerns, going out of our way to do press conferences, which we never do. Anybody looking at this, watching this, should realize that this is not normal. This whole scenario is not normal. You don't see regular Canadians standing up, doing a press conference, trying to get the government to listen. And there's a reason for that. We have hit a low point. We can't take it anymore. And I'm talking for a lot of Canadians. I can't speak for all of them, but a lot of them. This needs to be addressed. Our Prime Minister, who is so keen on democracy, should do the basic thing in a democracy and listen to his people.
Sounds like that guy wants his bank account seized. Because you can't be that articulate and hold the politicians to account making the decisions in Ottawa, speaking truth to power in a peaceful way, and not expect to have consequences at the hands of Justin Trudeau's tyrannical, out of control Canadian government.